Hi, this is Dr. Bill Diamond, and I want to talk today, by popular request even, about ways to reboot and rebrand yourself. I speak to a lot of people that are in that mid-career or third quarter of their career. They feel like they're in some form of a desert. Maybe you can relate to that. You're not moving forward in your career, you're seeing things being taken away, you're drying out, and you say, what can I do about it? Well, I have 5 things that I commonly see that people do and what you can do to act differently. The first thing is that I meet many people that do no form of serious continuing education. Yes, they do what's provided for free from their work. They do what may be required for continuing education in their field, but they don't have any real skin in the game. Brian Tracy has a great benchmark. He says, you need to be investing 3% of your income back into your career. So if you make $100,000, you're looking at $3,000. If you're looking at $50,000 a year, you're looking at $1,500. And that's sacrificial. There's a lot of things you could be doing with that money, but it is an investment. And whether or not that's going to a physical conference or taking a class or an online class or attending paid webinars or joining a paid community or getting some coaching or career assessment, there are things that will really make a difference. But I ask people that question that are struggling mid-career, and I often just hear crickets. I hear that they're not doing really anything, and the things they're doing are mainly free. And I used to be that way, and I didn't get the results that I wanted until I started to invest in some of these communities that there was a cost for admission, and to get on a plane and go places and to read books that cost something. Then my career began to take off, and I began to learn from the very, very best. So I want to ask you that. Do you invest 3% of your income back into your career, or are you the freebie king or queen that I used to be and wondering why things are not really changing? You're probably going to have to double down and do a little bit more. The second thing that people don't do is they don't have an adequate online presence. They're still working in the 90s and the 2000 era mentality, doing a great job at work, but there's a whole world going on. And for many people, that's LinkedIn. And many people will tell me, I can't really do that. My boss doesn't like that. Well, there's a difference between competing directly with the company that you're in versus providing resources and articles and books and connecting with people in your field and joining groups. That online presence, and LinkedIn is a great one for many of us in business, is just so crucial. But a lot of people have many excuses why they're not involved. And in many ways, I would say that they are like me. They're digital immigrants rather than digital natives. They're baby boomers, maybe even late generation Xers that didn't grow up always online, and they are telling themselves in some weird way that they don't need to be doing that because they never had to. But the world has changed, and people that are connected do much better than incredibly talented, pedigreed, experienced people that are not connected online. You got to get in the game. You got to learn about all these things, and if you're not seriously involved in that, the world is passing you by. And then similar to that is thinking because you're part of an organization that you don't really need to brand yourself. There's ways to brand yourself within the organization, starting a study group, starting a mastermind group, being known for this or that, developing your own theory, your own program, your own processes, positioning yourself, going to conferences and speaking, working even within the organization. And we talk a lot about entrepreneuring. Some of you are not interested in ever starting anything on your own, but you better be an entrepreneur. You better innovate from within. You better be one of those people that when there's a tightening of a budget, they look around and they say, you know what, you are the kind of person we need for this transition, rather than you're the kind of person that doesn't really bring anything new. You've got to be an innovator from within your organization. You've got to do some type of brand presence, even if it's within the company, and certainly if you're hoping to do some things without it. And then the fourth thing is to think that if you work for an organization, for the most part, and there are exceptions, maybe some government restrictions here and there, but a lot of people use many things as an example to say, I can't do anything on my own because I work for an organization. Patrick McGinnis wrote a book called The 10% Entrepreneur, and I'm starting to look at that now, but I've been using that concept for many years with folks that, most people will imagine a time that it'd be nice for them to not just convert money for hours worked, and they may want to learn how to sell some things, they may want to learn how to develop some things, to coach in some ways, and they're going to have to get in the game. They're going to have to spend that 10, 15 hours a week on their own, maybe turn up the TV a little bit, and learn a whole new skill to become an entrepreneur, either online or on the side in some way, some service way, maybe a labor of love where they're developing that. So it's not a matter of I work for a company or I don't do anything for myself. You may find that what you do on the outside actually helps you to be better with the company you work for. You may find that one day that you decide to go into that, maybe at retirement, maybe earlier, maybe you split, maybe you consult with where you used to work and you do this other thing. But don't see it as an either or. A lot of people say, I'll do that when I'm done working, and it's hard to steer that ship at 65. You need to be looking at that at 45, 55, 40 years old, because it's a whole new way of learning and seeing the world. And then finally, the idea of believing, many people do, that I want to do this, and my message is for everybody. And boy, I hear a lot of people that want to be a coach or a leadership development guru or a speaker, and they just feel like, their health message, their coaching message is for everybody. And I get news for you, it just isn't. And I'm thinking of two guys that I really like that have worked within the landscape business. They started positioning themselves as leadership experts, but within their own field of landscape architecture. And what's interesting is because they did that, they rapidly moved to the top. However, when I go on to LinkedIn, what I'll see is that many people will hop onto a group, and there's nothing wrong with groups, but some of these leadership groups, change management groups, have hundreds of thousands of other people just like you trying to develop their own brand. Why not niche down a little further? Why not be a leadership development person for people in technology who are in the Silicon Valley or here or there? You may find that a leadership consultant in technology is too big, and you may need to go a level before. But they say a group of about 10,000 people as potential market people that you would want to go after, that's a great size. And most people do make the problem of just being too broad and just saying, this is what I do and my message for everybody. If you want to sound like an amateur, if you want to hear the crickets for 10 years, just be too broad. If you want to rapidly go further in your career, be a person that niches down into an area, not just a coach, but what type of coach and for what person and what submarket. Well, those are my 5 things. Stay a continuous learner, develop an online presence. Don't think because you work for an organization you don't need to brand yourself. You do. Don't be all or nothing. Be a 10% entrepreneur. Be an intrapreneur. Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're going to be doing that in the future. And then finally, don't think your message is for everybody. Spend the hard work. Work with somebody to figure out what your niche is. And you will find that it usually isn't too far away from the group you've been working with already. You're just going to shift it over a little bit. Well, my name is Dr. Bill Diamond. I help people internally and individually with career development and coaching. If I can help you with your mid-career challenges, let me know. I'll be back another time to talk about some other things that you can do to differentiate yourself from the marketplace. We'll see you then.